Yeah, yeah. Welcome to Box Center. I'm your host, JSmiff. You already know what it is, man. Your favorite boxers, favorite boxing show. Let's get it, man. You know what it is. We always doing what we doing, man. Talking boxing. Yo, man, we want to see what is finally gonna happen with some of these fighters, man. Who are they gonna fight next? Who do we want to see them fight next? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Right now, Sebastian Fundora has two options. He could defend his WBO title versus Terrence Bud Crawford, or he can vacate that title and fight Errol Spence at the end of the year. And then, that would be, he would not have that title. So what does Fundora do? Who should he fight next? I believe he should fight Terrence Bud Crawford just because, that's your mandatory, buddy. That's what you're supposed to do. But I think to my understanding, based on what we've seen, Terrence Crawford has been or may have been in negotiations with Virgil Ortiz. And I don't know if that fight is going to happen, right? So, again, does Fundora defend his title against Terrence Crawford, or does he vacate that belt and fight Errol Spence? So I think it's interesting to see what direction he's going to go into. Obviously, you would want him to defend his title. And we're talking about Fundora versus Crawford. Obviously, that would be a big fight. My peoples, you already know what it is, man. Box Center, your favorite boxers, favorite boxing show. Go ahead and subscribe if you haven't. And hit that like button, man. Don't be cheap, my people. Don't be cheap. Errol is whack. I don't think it's fair to say that, because you got to remember, before losing to Crawford, Errol Spence was consistently, top 3, top 4 in pound for pound lists. He was in almost every pound for pound list, top 3, top 4. So now that he got beat, he's whack. I don't think that's fair. Nobody was saying that before that happened, before he got beat. We got to remember that Errol Spence is a champion who unified titles the hard way. He beat 3 legitimate champions. So Errol Spence is legit. I think it's unfair to discredit him just because he lost to Terrence Crawford. I don't think that's fair. We're talking about a pound for pound fighter, an undefeated champion, So, the guy, for real, man, Errol Spence is the truth. I don't believe that it's fair to knock him because he took a loss to Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford is the number 1 pound for pound fighter in the world. So losing to him doesn't make you whack, my guy. We can't really go back and look at a performance from Errol Spence and say, oh, look, he did bad. He sucked. Errol Spence is a solid. Errol Spence is a great fighter, man. We can't knock him for taking that one L. Let's see how he's going to bounce back, of course, in his next fight. But, man. You already know what it is, my peoples. Box Center. If you haven't done so, subscribe, man. I promise you, this is going to be one of your favorite boxing YouTube channels. I promise you. And go ahead and hit that like button, my peoples. Don't be cheap, man. You getting this fire. And let me get y'all opinion, man. What y'all think? Do you agree? Do you think Errol Spence is whack? Or do you guys, agree with me? Because, I respect everybody's opinion. If you don't think Errol Spence is that guy, I respect it. But I have my personal perspective when it comes to Errol. I've seen him accomplish, and I've seen him put together great performances, and I could never say that he's whack. I'm being real. I could never say that. Terrence gave him the beating of a lifetime, my boy. Terrence Crawford. People don't even realize it, but Terrence Crawford beat Errol Spence in a way that we haven't seen a beating like that, in over 20 years. Think about it, an undefeated pound for pound champion. That's who Errol Spence was. When is the last time that you seen an undefeated champion take a beating, a walloping like the one Errol Spence took? When is the last time you seen that? You tell me. Like, that was a horrible, we never seen a beating like that, I'm telling you, in over 25 years. Think about it. Y'all tell me, when is the last time you seen a beating like that? Tell me. I want to know. Like, the last beating, not the last, y'all could think of something up, but I would say the last one beating we could compare to that was when when Thomas the Hitman Hearns knocked out Duran. That was a horrible beating. But come on, my peoples. He's sharp in his weight class. I mean, I don't know what you mean by Crawford don't get out his weight class. He's already a full division champion, my guy. What do you mean he don't get out his weight class? That's right now, how many four division champions are there in boxing? You just have to take that into consideration. There's not that many, bro. In the history of boxing, there's not that many four division champions. So yes, he does get out his division and does keep winning titles. Come on now, let's get it. King Grayson, what's good, my guy? Oh, Canelo, that's a fighter who he's up there, bro. Canelo is one of those fighters who is a pound for pound fighter, and he's going down as probably the greatest Mexican fighter of all time. You know. Now, if Canelo and Terrence Crawford fight, I got Crawford walking out of there with the W. Hold that. Hold that. Oh no, Manny Pacquiao is a legend. He a legend. He an all time great too. All time. When you talk Manny Pacquiao, all time, you gotta put him automatically in the top 10 all time. Top 10. Fuck around, you might have to put him top 5. Manny Pacquiao has done some things in boxing. Manny Pacquiao's up there. Manny Pacquiao, he's up there, man. For those who actually watched him perform, do his thing, man, listen. Especially if you got to see him in his prime, man, listen. Oh, Terrence Crawford is the number one pound for pound fighter in the world for a reason. There's a reason for that. Bud is that guy. People refuse to give him his respect. People refuse to. Because let me tell you what it is, my peoples. Once you go against somebody and you start saying that he's a hype job, and you start saying that he's not that good and who he be, you start feeding into that narrative, right? So when he finally beat somebody, when he gave Errol that beating, people couldn't even accept it. The same people that lasted 3 years telling me Errol's gonna knock him out, Errol is too big, Crawford is too little. The same people that said those things for 3 years, now started saying, nah, yo, Errol's not the same anymore. The car accident, and he smoked a blunt that day, and his cat died. All of the excuses in the world. All of them. But before the fight, yeah, I said Errol was going to knock Crawford out because Crawford is too little. All of a sudden, now Spencer's washed. He's not the same. He's no good. So that shows you how great Terrence Crawford is. That you have to, now that Crawford did that, now you have to discredit Spence. Why? Because when you discredit Spence, you diminish Crawford's win. Oh, nah, he was not the same anymore. It's crazy because when Spence went and fought Danny Garcia, the car accident went away. And then when he fought Crawford, the car accident came back. That shit crazy. When he fought Ugas, the car accident went away. But then the car accident came back to fight Crawford. Like, come on now. You see what you're saying, that Canelo is gonna whoop Crawford? Yo, that's fair. You know what I'm saying? I get that opinion, and Canelo's supposed to be the favorite. But here's the curveball in this whole fight. Here's the curveball for you, my boy. Errol, Terrence Crawford and Canelo, the size difference between them two is not as big as people think. Everybody's focusing on 168. Oh my God, 168, 168. Everybody's forgetting that Canelo is a small 168 pounder. Yo, Canelo is not a big dude. He's not. If you see Terrence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez standing side by side, Canelo don't even look much bigger than Bud. You could look at it. So the perception that Canelo's so big, yo, he's really not a big dude. You've never heard in your life anybody say, yo, Canelo's a big dude. Now all of a sudden, because Crawford is moving up, Canelo's this big dude. He's not, yo. And guess what? Remember, Terrence Crawford is slightly taller than Canelo and has longer reach. Longer reach. That was the key to that ass whooping Bivol gave Canelo. His reach advantage. Kept Canelo at the end of that stick. Pop, 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 lacing him. Yeah, I saw that. Bivol made it look easy against Canelo. Canelo couldn't do nothing. Nothing. So styles make fights. You have to understand that, yo. Styles make fights. And when it comes to styles, is Canelo. Look at the people who gave Canelo a hard time. Erislandis Lara, a guy that can box, a guy that can move on his toes. So all I'm telling y'all is that fight is not gonna go down to size. Canelo's not gonna bully Crawford. That's not gonna happen. That fight is gonna go down to skill and boxing. And who's gonna outbox who? Watch. I mean, you may have said that it was a 50-50 fight, but I'm telling you, most likely you was leaning towards Spence. Because a lot of people's like, yo, it's a 50-50 fight, man. But Spence, like, when you put people's back to the wall, they was leaning for Spence. You know. Yo, I'm telling you. We look, Terrence Crawford we already know he's a special talent, right? We already know he's a pound for pound fighter. We already know he's an undefeated fighter. So how can you even think, oh, he's gonna move up, they're gonna wash him? Now, I understand that Canelo is gonna be the favorite. Don't get it twisted. I know Canelo's gonna be the favorite. But all I'm telling y'all, my peoples, is that the size difference between Terrence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez is not as big as people think it is. It's really not. Okay, so hear me out. You're saying that Spence didn't even show up to the fight. So let me explain to you something. And you may know this already, but I want to say it for everybody. Spence got hurt early in that fight. Now, because of that ass whooping that he took, we forget about how the first round played out. And we forget about how the second round was playing out also. Yo, Errol Spence was going to the body. Errol Spence was being aggressive and putting his combinations together. But he got hurt early. And what happens, my guy, is when you get hurt early, just because you're fighting back doesn't mean that you recovered from that blow. So now the skills that you would normally display, they not there because your legs is not there. Your mind is not there. You took a hard shot. So that affects how you perform. And then before he was able to recover from that, boom, he got hurt bad, dropped. So what I'm trying to tell y'all is that Errol did show up. He just got beat up. And that's hard to swallow. That's a hard pill to swallow, my peoples. But I'm gonna just put it to you like this, so you can understand what I'm trying to tell you. Look at Chico Corrales versus Floyd Mayweather. Chico Corrales was an undefeated champion and one of the best Floyd ever faced. Floyd beat the shit out that man. Beat his ass. Now, his fans were saying, oh, he was not the same. Something was not right about him. No, he was just not him. You know, people didn't want to accept that Floyd simply beat his ass because Floyd was that great. So it's the same thing with Errol, my peoples. When somebody beat your ass, you never look the same. How you gonna look the same? We used to see you beating people ass. We used to see you knocking people out. So when they beat your ass, of course you're not gonna look the same. You get your ass whooped. Oh man. You see, that car accident is like the worst excuse. That's one of the worst excuses ever. And the reason why that's one of the worst excuses ever is because that's the type of accident that looks worse than what it actually was. You're not going by facts, you're just going by opinion. But if you look at the medical report, your Errol didn't break a single bone in his body. He didn't suffer muscle damage. He didn't suffer neurological damage. The worst injury that Errol had was he lost teeth. That was the worst injury, bro. He lost teeth. So to say that he was in a car accident where he just lost teeth, didn't break a single bone in his body, and years down the line, after he fought fighters and beat them, the accident is affecting him versus Crawford, that shit is beyond ludicrous. That shit is ridiculous. That shit is even pathetic. Because that's a straight up narrative. It's literally a narrative. There's nothing factual about it. If you look at the accident and the injuries that he sustained in that accident, he didn't have any injury that lasts 3 years to heal. What injury can you point at and say, well, look, when you get this type of injury, 3 years later, you can still have it? He didn't have no such injury that has a 3-year lasting effect. So that's that Crawford hater narrative to push that no, Errol wasn't the same. No, something was not right. You know what was not right? That he got his ass beat and nobody want to accept that. So that's when we go into excuse mode. You know. Yo, Terrence Crawford is that great that people completely started to discredit Errol as soon as he beat him. Imagine that. Errol Spence went from a pound for pound fighter to this is a 50-50 fight to now he was no good. Look at that. An eye injury that took place more than a year before that. Again, another excuse. The eye injury was more than a year before that, and he already fought and beat and knocked out Ugas. He beat and knocked out Ugas already. So the eye was good for Ugas, and then the eye got messed up again before he fought Bud. Come on now. Come on now. So that shows how great Terrence Crawford is. That he beats guys, and as soon as he beat them, people start discrediting them, including Errol Spence, who people say he was gonna get knocked out by. People said Errol Spence was gonna knock out Terrence Crawford, and look what happened. He gave him the beating of a lifetime, and y'all immediately went into excuse mode. Come on, my peoples. Y'all just give Bud his flowers, man. Y'all always gonna be floating against the river because Bud is gonna keep accomplishing, and every time he accomplishes, y'all gotta find a way to hate. Look, he beat Madrimov, another division that he's a champion. Oh nah, but Madrimov is not all that, and he took the easy route, and he struggled, and still can't give him his flowers. So no matter what he does, you're gonna find an excuse to hate on him. Crawford versus Jose. I don't know if you're talking about Benavidez, but that don't make no sense. Benavidez is at 175, and he's without a doubt too big for Crawford. He's at 175, man. That don't make no sense at all. Crawford versus Benavidez. That's like only Crawford haters are saying that shit. You a Crawford hater. You're on the low Crawford hater. I mean, Crawford versus AJ next. You see, Bud was fighting a weak version of Arrow. Now, how did you come to that conclusion, my boy? Because I saw a strong version of Arrow. I saw the best version of Arrow. So you tell me, how do you decide that that was a weak version of Arrow? How do you come to that conclusion? David Benavidez is at 175 and Terrence Crawford is at 154. Like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about. Like, what? Huh? Okay. Okay, buddy. Boots is a great fighter. Boots, he could have been undisputed, decided to go after undisputed at 147, but it looks like politics is getting in the way, so he may go to 154. And Boots is gonna be a pound for pound fighter real soon. I expect Boots to be right there. You know, to me, it's gonna be Boots and Shakur battling it out for number one pound for pound in the world. Boots and Shakur, I got them too. They right there. Now, Boots versus Crawford, I don't think I don't think we're gonna see that fight. Too many little things have to happen for them to fight each other. Like, for example, Canelo has to say no definitely to the Crawford fight because obviously he would never pick Boots over Canelo. We talking about I don't know how many millions of dollars of difference in that fight, right? So number one, Crawford cannot get the Canelo fight. If he gets the Canelo fight, Boots, that's not happening. Number two, which is more important, is Crawford gonna pick unifying titles in the division or fighting a Jerome Boots Ennis that's just moving up to 154 right now? So I'm giving you a title shot. I believe that he will pick unifying titles because obviously he would like to become undisputed again if given the opportunity. That's another reason why. Number three, Jamal Charlo is back in the division. Announced that he's back. You remember that he went back and forth with Jamal Charlo. In fact, after he put the beating over Lifetime on Arrow, remember he climbed the ropes and pointed at Mel and told him a few things. Oh, he said, "You next, you next." So they had history. That's a fight that could happen. And of course, it would be bigger than fighting Boots. So my point is that although I'd love to see Crawford versus Boots, I don't think the fight happens just because Crawford is at the tail end of his career. He's about to be 37 years old. Well, I think he already 37. And obviously, he's going to be looking to make the biggest fights for the biggest paydays. And Boots just became a champion. It's early. He's not on the pound for pound list. Yes, he's not one of the biggest stars yet, but he will be. But right now, I think that, Boots is starting his career. Crawford is at the end of his career. And for that reason, it's hard for that fight to get made. It's possible, but for it to be made, I think other options have to not be available for Bud. And then I think he would take that fight. Better BF will break Benavidez. Well, wait a minute, because first he has to get past Bivol. Come on now. It's Better BF versus Bivol. That's the fight. Don't look past an opponent like that, my brother. Remember, Dimitri Bivol is an undefeated champion for a reason. The guy can fight. The guy can fight. Yo, I'm telling you, Ken Grayson, Terrence Crawford is a bad man. It's a bad man. That's why every time he put the beating on somebody, everybody got to discredit them. Everybody he beat, people got to discredit them. That shows you his greatness right there. Yo, listen, Boots versus Crawford, that's a fight that's a dream fight. And I'm gonna give you my opinion right now on that fight. I'm gonna tell you right now. If Boots versus Crawford was to happen next, I got Crawford beating him. Putting the beats on him. The beats. And people gonna say, "Oh my god, Boots didn't look the same. Boots looked different. There was something wrong with Boots." However, here's the curveball for y'all. If that fight happens in like 2 years, then Boots will stop Crawford. If that fight happens in like 2 years, Crawford is gonna slow down just enough for Boots to be able to put hands on him. But if it happens next, I got Crawford giving him the type of beatdown that y'all gonna say Boots was not the same. That something had to be wrong with Boots because there's no way Crawford beat him up like that. Yo, if that fight was to happen now, he would put such a beating on Boots. Such a beating. Nasty. Nasty beating. And yo, listen, when I tell you this, I need you to know Boots is one of my favorite fighters. I got him and Shakur as the next generation guys running the show. That's what I got. Boots and Shakur. It's going to be like that. So you already see the type of respect that I got for Jerron Boots Ennis. Yo, my peoples, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, remember to subscribe, man. Y'all already know what it is. Yo, Shakur Stevenson. You know why? Because people forget. People forget, you know, when things happen, people tend to focus on the great things and forget about the not so great things. And I'm going to give you an example of what I mean by that. Floyd Mayweather. Right now, especially new boxing fans, Floyd Mayweather's the greatest, 50-0, and all you see is good highlight reels. But the internet keeps receipts. And guess what? Yo, the second half of Floyd Mayweather's career, there was an entire fan base talking about how Floyd Mayweather is too boring. Floyd Mayweather runs too much. Floyd Mayweather put him to sleep. But now we're gonna act like that doesn't exist, like that never happened. But the internet got receipts. There's endless memes, endless memes about how Floyd put me to sleep and how Floyd fight is so boring. Floyd in a racetrack running because they say he's always running. Floyd in a bicycle. Floyd in skates because they said that's all he did, run and pity pat. But at the end of the day, Floyd Mayweather, regardless of all that hate, retired as the number one pound for pound fighter in the world and retired as arguably the greatest fighter of all time. So what people don't understand is that it doesn't matter how boring you think somebody is. If they keep winning and keep beating champions, that's what the record books are gonna record. And Shakur Stevenson's career is playing out just like Floyd, yo. Look at his age. Look how many division champion he already is. It's playing out just like Floyd's career. If you look at Floyd at that same age, he was getting that same hate. It was that same narrative that he runs too much, that he doesn't stop and fight, that his fights are boring. So the same things that I was hearing from Floyd about Floyd, now I'm hearing them about Shakur. And it turns out that back then back then Floyd was the best defensive fighter in boxing, period, point blank. And today, Shakur is also the best defensive fighter in boxing, period, point blank. So if you don't see the similarities, you just don't want to see them. I'm showing them to you. Shakur got no power. Floyd had no power. Floyd had no power. Exactly. Another similarity between Shakur and Floyd. Thank you for pointing that out. So, William Stanley, your opinion is legit, right? You believe Tank is the best in the division. That's a legit opinion because Tank is a great fighter. He got that power. He got the ring IQ. He can box. So hell yeah. Nah, yo, that's cap, my guy. King Grayson, that's cap. Pretty Boy wasn't knocking out everything. He did knock opponents out. He did. But go look at his knockouts. His knockouts, most of them was early when he was fighting the tomato cans. When you punching him in the face too much and the referee just step in. Floyd Mayweather wasn't giving guys a punch that was sending them to the ground like Tank. He was stopping guys because he was just beating them up and the referee was stopping it. So Floyd never had power in his career. Never, 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 never. That's cap. Or you're not capping, but go back and look, man. He wasn't knocking people out. Floyd was never a knockout puncher like that. All right, so check it, William Allen. You're saying that Shakur won't be able to take that, right? But here's what I want you to consider. Take this into consideration. Pitbull Cruz went 12 rounds with Tank Davis. And if you watch that fight, like 90% of the time, yo, when that counter uppercut came, Pitbull Cruz caught it right there. Boom! Boom! He blocked almost every counter uppercut that came his way. And I don't know if he ate a single one flush. So, is Shakur Stevenson a better defensive fighter than Pitbull Cruz? I think we don't even have to answer that question. So if Pitbull Cruz was able to stay away from that knockout punch, why Shakur can't? When this is the best defensive fighter of this generation. No, listen, I'm not saying that I never seen Floyd knock anybody out. I'm just telling you that that wasn't very common, my brother. Floyd Mayweather had 50 fights in his career. Go look at his stoppages, mostly TKOs. Knockouts, I think Floyd had like two or three in his whole career, my boy. Two or three knockouts in the pretty. Remember, the Pretty Boy era was like 25 fights. That's the Pretty Boy era. One of those knockouts came later where Ricky Hatton, where he caught him with that counter punch, boom, knocked him out. So in the Pretty Boy era, I think he had like two knockouts, my guy. So is that really something, output that you see from a knockout guy that's knocking everything out? So come on. He got stoppages because he was beating people up and referee stopped it. Not because of power. That's what we have to understand. Every stoppage doesn't come because of power. Stoppages come because of accumulation of damage. Bam, 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 beating him up, stop it, wave it. That's not power. That just means you beating a guy up. Floyd beat guys up. That's what he did. You see what I'm trying to tell you? Look, when Bud beat Errol, or the accident. Now Pitbull goes 12 for 10, or the hand. There's always gonna be an excuse. I don't buy excuses. I don't buy excuses. I don't buy them. Sell that shit to somebody else. What happened was the hand, the car, the eye. Come on now, stop. That happens in a fight. That happened in the fight. He hurt his hand in the fight. That happens. That happened. Went 12 rounds. That's the thing. Shakur barely gets stoppages. Floyd barely got stoppages. Floyd barely got stoppages. Look at his record. 50 wins. He got like 20, I think 25 knockouts. Fury versus Joshua. I'm gonna tell you like this, man. I think Tyson Fury, we're gonna see him go downhill from here on out. The reason I say that is because you see how big he is and the shape that he's usually in. I think that Tyson Fury, being the size that he is, now his age is gonna start showing up. We already saw him, get outboxed, get beat, and prior to getting beat, y'all saw what happened with Nagano, who dropped him. So I think we're already seeing signs of Fury's decline. So because of that, I say AJ will beat him. A few years ago, I think he would have beat AJ. But today, I think AJ beats Fury. That's what I'm saying. Getting too old and out of shape. Because let me tell you something. Fury is the type of fighter that he's so talented, he's so gifted, that he can go into fights slightly out of shape and still win. But as you get older, being slightly out of shape is not going to work anymore because your punch resistance is now going down. So the punches that you used to take when you was 25, 26, 30, those same punches would fold you right now. So that's the difference. As you get older, people don't realize this. As you get older, your punch resistance goes down if you've been involved in wars. And Fury has been. He's been hit hard. Wilder hit him real hard. He won those fights. But Wilder dropped him and hurt him. And trust me, your punch resistance starts to go down. And at this point in his career, Fury, he's not the same anymore. He's not. Y'all saw his performance versus Nagano, which it wasn't good, obviously. And it was like, okay, that was a fluke. He wasn't ready for Nagano. But look what happened in his last fight. So Tyson Fury, unfortunately, I think that's it. His reign as a champion is over, I think. Yo, man, listen, when Tyson Fury got dropped, man, I was shocked. I was shocked. That's something I believe nobody was expecting. Not only that, to be honest, I wasn't expecting it to even be competitive as it was, because it was competitive. He didn't just drop Fury, he had him hesitating. And that fight would have even been close on the scorecards. Because, yo, listen, AJ did to Nagano what Fury was supposed to do. But Fury from 5 years ago would have folded Nagano just like that. But this version of Fury, that's what I'm trying to tell ya. You're not gonna go fight these guys out of shape and get those results anymore. That's a wrap. That's a wrap. That's a wrap. So, if you're gonna, live that lifestyle, that Fury parties a lot, drinks, smokes. If you're gonna live that lifestyle at that age and be out of shape, yo, from here on out, he gonna get beat up. If he fight that guy, what's his name? Bacoli, yo, Bacoli will knock him out. Nasty. I'm telling you. By the way, shout out to Bacoli, man. He need to get one of the big boys after that performance versus Jared Anderson. After that type of pummeling that he gave him, yo, Bacoli need a title shot, or at least not a title shot necessarily, but at least one of the big boys. Give him one of the big boys, man. He deserve it. Get him a big paycheck. I'm with it. I'm rocking with Bacoli. And yo, this is why you cannot underestimate fighters that you don't know. And we do that a lot in boxing. Like, I'm going to be honest with you. I thought Jared Anderson was going to put the beats on Buddy. Right? But when it finally happens, I start giving credit where credit is due. I don't discredit. Instead of saying, yo, Jared Anderson is a bum, or Jared Anderson. No, wait a minute. But Coley is legit. He displayed boxing skills. He displayed power. And he displayed patience. You see how he was just walking him down? And he ate some good punches. Showed that he can take a punch. Jared Anderson's best punches didn't wobble this man. So, Canelo or Benavidez? Well, honestly, I'm not sure right now. Nah. Listen, if I have to pick, I'm going that fight. I'm rocking with Benavidez. I'm rocking with Benavidez, and the reason I'm rocking with Benavidez is because Canelo. You see how he was dominated by Bivol, and he was dominated by Bivol that way because Bivol is much taller and had a reach advantage on him. So Canelo wasn't able to get on the inside. Every time he was trying to close the gap, he was eating leather. We already know Benavidez is a guy who let his hands go. So that's why if that fight happens, I believe, trying to close the gap, Canelo's going to eat mad leather. So I don't think he could beat Benavidez because of the size difference. Canelo, that's why, listen, Benavidez, right? But go back and look at the fight with Erislandy Lara, which some people to this day will say, oh, now he beat Canelo. Go look at that fight and you'll see that Lara gave Canelo problems with his height and reach advantages. Kept jabbing him, using his footwork, putting hands on him from long distance. And imagine a guy like Benavidez who puts them combinations together even better than Bivol. Or I don't even want to say better than Bivol because Bivol also put them hands together. Nah, yo, Benavidez is more aggressive though than Bivol. So I think he beats Canelo. That's what I got. Yeah, yo, Benavidez a big dude. That's why I tell people Benavidez is even a big 175 pounder. Canelo a small 168 pounder. I mean, I don't think he looked like trash. It's what I always try to look at this perspective, right? Every fighter is not gonna look good in every fight because at the end of the day, styles make fights. If you look at Floyd Mayweather versus Maidana, he didn't dominate Maidana. If you look at Floyd Mayweather versus Oscar De La Hoya, he didn't dominate Oscar. That was a split decision win. But he found a way to walk out of there with a W when it got tough. So that's what we have to consider. You know, it's not that the guy was looked trash. It's that he fought a legit opponent that we gotta give credit to. Cause that's the thing, yo. In boxing, we never really give credit to the opponent. If it's the fighter, oh nah, he looked like trash. He wasn't that good. Let's just look at with Crawford. Oh, he didn't look good. He struggled. He this. Why not give credit to Madrimov and say, damn, yo, this guy took a pound for pound fighter the distance and gave him a heck of a fight. So we have to give the flowers to the opponents that can push these champions to the limit. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, yo, the Mexican monster will smash Canelo. Yeah, I believe it. I believe it. The Mexican monster is too big for Canelo, and I believe he'll give him, horrible beating, horrible beating. So I don't think Canelo needs that action. But I'll be honest with you. I'll be honest with you. I would like to see that fight because at the end of the day, Canelo Alvarez is still one of the most accomplished fighters. Is one of the greatest Mexican fighters of all time. It's a pound for pound fighter. So I believe you can never count him out. I'm telling you this because if he was to shock all of us and beat Benavidez, I would take it like, yo, Canelo's been that guy. You can't count him out. He did what he been doing. So all I'm saying is I'm rocking with Benavidez on that fight, but I know Canelo's also that guy and can, make things play out differently than what we think they'll play out. You know. So I want you guys to take this into consideration, which this is where this whole live started at. So I want to hear your opinion, what you guys think. Sebastian Fundora was mandated by the WBO to defend his title versus Terrence Bud Crawford. However, he's already been in negotiations with Errol Spence to fight him in November or December this year. So here's the magic question. What do you think Fundora should do? Should he defend his title versus Terrence Crawford or vacate his title and fight Errol Spence instead? Fundora Pandora. So this whole saga, Errol. So Fundora, you think, William, that Fundora should fight Errol? Remember, if Fundora's gonna fight Errol, that means he's gonna have to vacate his title. right? But if he chooses to do that, that's a great fight because Fundora versus Errol is gonna let us know exactly where Errol Spence is at. If you've been watching boxing long enough, you probably seen fighters who took a nasty beating and they was never the same after that. Whether they became gun shy and after that fight they never really let their hands go like that anymore, or their punch resistance went down and they started getting knocked out after that. Different things that happen. Not to all fighters. There's fighters who take a beating and bounce right back. But there's fighters who take a beating and don't. Errol Spence took that beating and he's been inactive for more than a year at this point. So you have to wonder, what what are we going to see from Errol Spence when he climbs back in the ring? So check this out. When it comes to Canelo versus Berlanga, to be honest, nah. Errol hasn't fought. It's like a year and a half, like a year and change. It's like 400 days, like a year and change that Errol hasn't fought. To be honest, when it comes to Canelo and Berlanga, yo, Canelo's gonna wash him. Watch. Canelo's gonna wash Berlanga. Um, to be honest, I've been disappointed with the way Edgar Berlanga has developed. Like if I see a video from him from his last fight, and I see a video from him from 3 4 years ago, he looks the same. It doesn't look like he's been getting consistently better, like the guys in his age group. Like for example, Xander Sayers look better than him. Look like he'll, you know, go further than him. I think Berlanga is good, but in boxing there's levels, and I believe Canelo's levels above, and it's gonna put the beats on him. Yo, yo, William Stanley, loss of confidence. That happens a lot. Yo, when somebody get the thing is, the psychological aspect is something that you can't explain, you can't describe. People don't understand that. People, when you're a fan, you just see two guys going in the ring and duking it out, but you don't understand the psychological aspect of taking an ass beating in the ring. Oh, you're right about that, my brother. Buster Douglas and Mike Tyson showed us that anything can happen. In boxing, anything can happen. You're 100% right about that. And but but I'm gonna tell you this though. The way that it played out with Buster Douglas and Mike Tyson, there's a lot of circumstances behind that. It's almost like winning the lottery. I want to talk a little bit about that with you guys, so you can see what I mean. What went behind that happening, that outcome. Number one, I'll start off with this. Yo, by that point in his career, Mike Tyson had already become a full blown cokehead and an alcoholic. This man wasn't training, wasn't really running like that for this fight. And to make matters worse, yo, the day before the fight, Mike Tyson was literally getting high with women, partying his ass out. So Mike Tyson did not show up to that fight in optimal conditions. That's number one, right? Mike Tyson showed up there trashed, literally, to a championship fight. That's how much downhill his life had gone at that point. That's the first thing that I wanted to point out, right? Here's the second thing. Nobody really gives him credit But you have to watch his fights. Buster Douglas was a very skilled boxer who hit hard. The problem is that he wasn't disciplined. If you see, he was out of shape often, and you know had problems with health because of his weight. But if you watch him, this guy can fight. He a championship caliber fighter, skills wise and talent wise. And nobody says this. Nobody's gonna tell you this. You're not gonna hear nobody say this. Buster Douglas was a championship caliber talent. So what happened in that fight? The perfect storm. Mike Tyson came in there trashed, while Buster Douglas came in, put the training camp of his lifetime. His mom has just passed away. He was dedicating this fight to his mother. Put the training of a lifetime, put together the fight of a lifetime versus the guy who came in there trashed. And the rest was history. We saw what happened. We saw what happened. So all I'm saying is, if you watch video of that fight, of any Buster Douglas fight, you'll see how good he was. Even right after that fight, he got knocked out by Evander Holyfield. But watch the fight so you could see his technique, his movement. He got clipped, Evander Holyfield, one of the greatest of all time. He beat him, he knocked him out. But when you see Buster Douglas, you could tell, this guy's skilled. This guy can fight. And that day he put it all together and made it happen. So I think that's why Buster Douglas and Mike Tyson makes it very rare. Canelo Alvarez versus Berlanga, that's different because Canelo Alvarez is gonna show up in great shape. He's not gonna show up like Iron Mike Tyson. He's not gonna get trashed the day before the fight. He's not gonna be partying during training camp. He's not gonna quit running and just, I'm gonna knock this guy out quick. Canelo's gonna go in there in the shape of his life. So that's why, Mike Tyson versus Buster Douglas type of outcome is highly unlikely. But like you said, my brother, in boxing you never know. Berlanga can, shoot a left hook in a counter punch or something and catch Canelo right in the button, and wobble him and knock him out. But the odds are highly, highly against that happening. You're talking about Canelo Alvarez, a guy who never even been wobbled in his whole career. In his whole career, you never seen Canelo like, oh my God, he's gonna get knocked out. So Berlanga's not gonna do it. Berlanga power is not gonna knock Canelo out. Mike and Buster Douglas is a fight, man. That was the perfect storm. Buster Douglas did everything he was supposed to do to win, and Mike Tyson did everything he was supposed to do to lose. Imagine that fight went down in Tokyo, and Mike Tyson literally went to Tokyo to party and take a little bit of time out to fight Buster Douglas, knock him out real quick. So how that played out. Yeah, I don't see Berlanga doing nothing. Canelo gonna eat Berlanga punches like them shits is double decker burritos, double decker tacos, soft shell tacos. That's how he gonna eat those. My boy NYC Alex. Yeah, Benavidez, we established that Benavidez definitely beats Canelo. A horrible beating. Horrible beating. But We don't know if that fight is even gonna happen. And I don't know if Canelo really wants to go back up to 175, unless it's for a rematch with Bivol. I mean, yeah, I think he will go up to rematch Bivol. I don't think he'll go up to 175 and fight David Benavidez. He's already avoided him for years at this point. I don't think this late in his career he's gonna take that beating, unless he already told Turkey, "You want me to fight Benavidez? Give me 200 mil." So I guess if they show him the 200 mil, he'll fight him. Yo, Benavidez a big 175 pounder, baby. He a big 170. Even in that division, he a big dude. He a big dude, yo. Well, he said that he'll only go up to fight Bivol for a rematch, but he spoke with His Excellency Turkey Al Sheikh, and he showed willingness to fight Benavidez for 200 million. That's why His Excellency was like, "Nah, man, get the hell out of here with that, making crazy demands." But you never know. Maybe they can negotiate that number and Canelo could get. But remember, His Excellency Turkey Al Sheikh wanted Canelo versus Crawford, to which supposedly Canelo wanted 150 million for that fight. So if Canelo has his choice between Benavidez and Terrence Bud Crawford, who y'all think he's gonna pick? I think he picks Crawford. That's what I think. If he's gonna pick between those two, I think Bud is gonna have a better chance. Yo, that's the thing, yo. 100 million, we find it crazy, but we thought it was crazy when Floyd wanted, I don't know how many 100 millions to fight Pacquiao and fight Conor. We only think it's crazy until it happens. And the thing is, it makes sense because Canelo saying, "Listen, Crawford will be moving up in weight. I don't got no interest in fighting him. I'm not interested in fighting him. Now, if you interested in me fighting him, you want that fight? Pay me this much. If you pay me this much, we fight it." When you the face of boxing, you can do that. You can do that. Floyd did it. And other, not just Floyd, I'm mentioning Floyd because, everybody knows Floyd. But a bunch of champions done it. Like, "Yo, you want to pay me this much if you want that fight." And eventually they get paid that much. So Crawford is easier than Benavidez. I mean, we have to look at it from the point of view that Benavidez is just too big for Canelo. It's simple as that. Crawford is a smaller guy coming up. Now, if he fight Benavidez, Benavidez may actually be the favorite. If he fight Crawford, he's gonna be the favorite. So now him being the favorite doesn't necessarily dictate the outcome, but he'll be the favorite. That's for sure. It's gonna be a good fight though. Whichever direction Canelo decides to go to is gonna be a good fight. My peoples, don't forget to click on that. Man, hit that like button, yo. Don't be cheap, my peoples. Hit the like button, subscribe, share, all that crazy shit. Box Center, your favorite boxers, favorite boxing show. Don't forget to subscribe. Check this out. Benavidez got one style, pressure, pressure, pressure. I mean, yo, Benavidez can box too. He can box. He just doesn't need to. He don't need to. When you can just bully your opponents, why you gonna box him? But he got the skills to box. He just hasn't found anybody that has made him do it. Yo, William Stanley, I appreciate you, my guy. Appreciate that. Um, so now I want y'all to think about this. Tank Davis, he was supposed to fight Pitbull Cruz. Now Pitbull Cruz got beat up by Rayo Valenzuela. And we might possibly get Tank Davis versus Rayo Valenzuela. I want to tell you something about Rayo, my peoples. It was like 3-4 years ago that I say, yo, this kid is going to be a champion. This kid is a special talent. What happens is, in this new era where fighters lose and you automatically get discredited, you a bum, you've been exposed, you a hype job, all that. But nah, I never fall for that narrative. I always felt like he was special. And if you look at my videos from before that fight, guess what? I told people, yo, Rayo Valenzuela got the skills to outbox Pitbull. If this fight goes the distance, he gonna outbox him and beat him by points. I told people that was gonna happen. Meanwhile, the narrative was that Pitbull was gonna knock him out. Pitbull was gonna walk him down and beat him up. Why? Because hey, Rayo got stopped before and he got beat. So that means he's a hype job. No. I don't watch a guy lose and automatically say he's a hype job, he's not that good, and so on and so forth. Because we all know styles make fights. Just because you lost to this guy doesn't mean that you're gonna lose to that guy. And Rayo Valenzuela was the perfect example of that. Yo, Tank Davis was planning on fighting Pitbull before Pitbull even fought Rayo. In other words, to them, it was automatic. Yeah, Pitbull gonna beat this guy up. We're gonna fight Pitbull. That goes to show you. That goes to show you. Now, Rayo versus Pitbull is a classic example of a hard puncher versus a good boxer. What happened? The good boxer was able to offset the hard punching. And Pitbull could never land that knockout punch. Pitbull could never hurt him and get him out of there. What happened when he got behind on the scorecards? He was chasing, with Rayo countering effectively. There's so many examples of the boxer beating the puncher. And that's why I could easily segue into what you think is going to happen when Shakur and Tank fight each other. Tank Davis beats Valenzuela by KO, even though Valenzuela boxes beautifully. Yo, listen. Shakur's never been hurt in his whole career. Never been wobbled. Never got put to dance salsa or nothing like that. Oh, he gonna get knocked out. Man, shut the fuck up. But you my guy. Canelo Benavidez and Benavidez winner fight each other. Woo! Listen, Canelo Benavidez and Benavidez versus Bivol. That's a great tournament for the two winners to fight each other. I would be with it. That's a great. But again, for all that to happen, Canelo would have to move up to 175. Is that gonna happen? I don't know. But also, to be honest, I know that Canelo wants his rematch with Bivol, but Bivol has already said he doesn't really care. Bivol is not really like Bivol is like, yo, I don't care about him really. So Yo, bro, you putting a lot of expectations on what Canelo's gonna do, man. Like, you got this whole plan of the fights that he's gonna make in a division that he's not even in. So I don't know, man. I don't know how you're making all those predictions about the 175 division when he is gonna fight next at 168 and hasn't said any of those things. He said the only one that he wants to fight 175 was B-Ball. So if Bivol loses at 175 versus Beterbiev, we may never even see Canelo fight in that division again. Oh my God, that would be nice. I would love to see, yo, those four in a little tournament. But again, all of that is gonna depend on whether or not Canelo moves up to 175. You gotta see it. Yeah, you're saying that he wants that title at 175 to make history, but it's not about what you're saying. It's about what Canelo's saying. He's saying now move up there to fight Bivol. All I want is my rematch with him. All that other stuff that you saying is you saying it, my guy, not him. My peoples, remember to hit that like button. Remember to subscribe. Y'all already know what it is. I'm going to go ahead and drop off, my peoples. Before I do, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. You know what I'm saying? William Stanley, NYC Alex. Yo, y'all always, you know what I'm saying, show me love. NYC Alex, even though you be hating on Crawford and hating on Shakur like crazy. But, you know, you always come through. I appreciate you, my guy. Hold on one second. Also, yo, yeah, Rain Cloud. Appreciate you hopping on. Yo, Danny. Appreciate you. You know what I'm saying? Y'all already know what it is, my people's Box Center. Your favorite boxers, favorite boxing show. Don't forget to subscribe. Oh, by the way, my peoples, I was at a boxing tournament yesterday, the finals. Yo, check out the last video that I posted. Yo, these kids is the finals. Elite level amateurs, they going to war. I'm talking about they banging it out. Go check out that video, man. I promise you, if you love boxing, you're going to enjoy it. I was actually at the neutral corner, so the video is filmed by yours truly, JSmiff. Y'all already know what it is. Box Center. Go ahead and subscribe. Hit that like button. Show me some love, my peoples. I'm trying to tell you, man. Check out these videos and share my content, my peoples. Let's let the people know. Not enough people. Yo, I got like 300 and something subscribers. People don't know about me, you know. But trust me. Trust me. I am him. I promise you. When it comes to this boxing, I am him. Anyways, my peoples, thank you for hopping on with me, man. I really appreciate y'all. See y'all tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to be live again. We're going to do this boxing thing like we do it. Peace.